Hello everyone, I'm Sania Talwar for Lawbeat, here to take you through a very interesting and comprehensive judgment which was passed by the Bombay High Court recently. This judgment is regarding media trials passed in petitions filed after the unfortunate death of actor Sushant Singh Rajput on June 14 last year. A number of controversies erupted after the young actor was found dead at his apartment in Bandra, Mumbai. While the Mumbai police had initially termed his death a suicide, a month later, Rajput's father filed an FIR with Patna police against actress Rhea Chakraborty and her family members, alleging abetment to his son's suicide and misappropriating his money. This issue reached Supreme Court of India after Bihar government transferred the case to CBI. Rhea Chakraborty filed a petition seeking transfer of this case to Mumbai instead. The Supreme Court, however, upheld the transfer of the case to CBI by Bihar government. Amid all this, coverage of the actor's death in the media was a daily affair. This is when 5 PILs were filed before the Bombay High Court, opening the Pandora's box into issues related to media trials. The first one was filed by Asim Suhas Sarode, a practicing advocate, averring that telecasts on the alleged suicide across various TV channels had left him disturbed. The second one was filed by Nilesh Navlakha, a filmmaker who prayed inter alia that the reporting of news directly hampering investigation be postponed and tenets of the program code as prescribed under the Cable Television Networks Act 1995 and Cable Television's Network Rules 1994 are followed. The third one was filed by a group of retired civil servants stating that the actions by certain media houses led to reportage which used derogatory language against Mumbai Police and its commissioner, tarnishing the valuable reputation of Mumbai Police. 2 other petitions were filed raising additional questions in terms of the Contempt of Courts Act 1971. What the court did was, it formulated extensive questions of law and incidental ones to establish comprehensive principles touching upon the rights of the press and media to express views freely while balancing rights of an individual. Court started off by touching upon the constitutional tenets of freedom of speech, stating that it is indeed the most abused right in recent times, often crossing the proverbial Lakshman Rekha. It urged the media not to step out of their boundaries and enter the grey area beyond the Lakshman Rekha. Let's now look at some important aspects of this judgment. On the question of whether media trials will fall within restriction of the program code, which emanate from Section 5 of the Cable Television Network Act 1995 and the rules thereunder, court said that broadcasters and persons involved with the cable television network in their operations and function are required to adhere to the statutory stipulations as prescribed. Now, this program code stipulates several restrictions which the persons are bound to follow. The court has said that in terms of Section 20, when the central government considers that any program of any channel is not in conformity with the prescribed program code, it has the power to prohibit its operation. In this context, court further directed that every complaint which would be made on the contents of any program on any television channel, either to the authorized officer or to the central government in regard to violation of the program code, shall be dealt with in a manner as provided under the Act and immediate action be taken thereon, without involvement of any private bodies like NBSA or NBF. Now, this takes us to another aspect of policy guidelines for uplinking and downlinking of TV channels in India. It provides that the company so registered shall uplink only those TV channels which are specifically approved or permitted by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting for uplinking from India. Court said that the rules under the Cable Television Networks Act would apply in telecast of media trials of any program or channel failing to conform to the program code. So what does this exactly mean? It means that when any telecast is likely to disturb public tranquility, it is sufficient to prohibit transmission of a certain program in public interest. Public interest is also defined in the Act to mean sovereignty, integrity, public order, decency, morality, etc. On the issue of whether self-regulation as adopted by news channels would have any sanctity without the statutory framework, the court answered it in the negative, stating that as the government owns airwaves which the electronic media uses, paralyzing or holding up any news channel by a statutory framework would tantamount to breach of freedom enjoyed by media. On the question of what constitutes fair trial and trial by media, the court first elaborated on how unregulated media reporting could adversely affect investigations in progress, while adding that the illustrations depicting the same were met by responses during the course of proceedings in the instant case. Court noted that since the media has the ability to mold opinions of the society, it ought to refrain from taking stances in its presentations which are biased and show a predilection of a particular point of view, having enormous potential of deflecting the cause of justice. On suicide reporting, court said that electronic media should also be guided by the Press Council of India guidelines, which stipulate journalistic conduct till such time appropriate guidelines are framed for the electronic media by appropriate authority. Though the court made scathing remarks against some TV channels, it said that it does not consider it appropriate to initiate action for criminal contempt against them. Of course, while refraining from doing so, we hope and trust that they shall act more responsibly in the future and not create a situation for the court to take recourse to the provisions of Article 215 of the Constitution and the Contempt of Courts Act to invoke its jurisdiction to punish for contempt, the court said. Further, it noted petitioners could be justified in saying that persistent criticism could bring down morale of the police force and prove to be counterproductive. So, utmost care must be taken to present reports that are tested and found to be true and correct, and the temptation to sensationalize must be resisted. Interestingly, court also added that this was neither the stage to give Mumbai police a certificate that they performed their duties in accordance with law, nor to invalidate the reporting by electronic media. Finally, the court formulated an indicative list of guidelines stating that the media ought to regulate its reports, etc., and that no report, debate, discussion, or interview should be presented which could harm the interests of the accused. It was thus directed that the press or media exercise restraint. Court said that muting the speaker if he flies off at a tangent during a debate could be one of the several ways to avoid embarrassment and contempt. So I guess that's all for today. Now that we've discussed this judgment at length, do let me know what you think of its ramifications in your comments below. We'll be back with more informative videos soon. Bye.